Hi there. As many of you know, today's the day when the election's happening where the next president will be decided. The one who takes over the place of the current president, Xerxes, or Barack Obama. I like to think of him as Xerxes because, I don't know, they kind of look similar. I mean, granted, you never saw Obama clad in gold and stuff like that, but that was the image I saw of him whenever I looked it up. I mean, it's the same with any modern day president. You don't see them wearing medals and army fatigue or anything like that. They're not, desperate third world countries like North Korea. The thing is, Xerxes, Barack Obama, was a dictator. There's no getting around it. I mean, all the presidents are, in a sense, dictators. I mean, they don't get to do everything they want to do because of Congress, because of politicians and all the sorts. I don't know the ins and outs of that. It's really hard to learn about that sort of stuff, especially when you don't try like me. It's one of those things, though. They are a dictator. What they say, if they can get away with doing it, goes. And Barack Obama, on the surface, it appears that he's done very little for the black community. I mean, that's evident. I mean, there are many ghettos still in the United States of poor black people who've done nothing to anybody, who deserve a better life. And Barack Obama has not done a thing for them. But that's not to say he hasn't done anything to help out. Well, when I say help out, I mean get revenge on against white people. He may be the president of the United States, and that's supposed to be a country run by whites. The thing is, he's done backdoor deals. He's made friends. He's obviously had people killed under his orders. And a lot of those things, I bet you there's a fair amount of them that weren't strictly white power. And that's what I'm concerned about with this election. Because Donald Trump, he's an arrogant prick. Of course he is. But he looks like a man of white power to me. That's why he happens to get along with Putin better than Clinton. Although, I don't think Clinton entirely doesn't get along with Putin either. But anyway, that aside, there have been unfortunate things that have happened during the Obama administration. He was not as effective as he would like to have been. But he still would have committed barbarous acts. And you may go, well, where's your proof of this? Do you have video evidence? Do you have at least a source from a credible person to back up your claims? No, I don't. Because the internet is controlled. If that information, they don't want it to be shown, it isn't going to be shown. And you will never find the evidence on the internet. It's not available. But rest assured, Obama, under his administration, has committed torture, committed violent acts against people, murder, and probably even genocide, and all those sorts of things. Horrible things. And it's those topics that don't get brought up. I'm sure he would have had solid reasoning for why he did the things he did. I'm sure he would have taken things into consideration, but the fact is, he's done horrible things. And Clinton is going to continue on that path if she can, probably will, because the average day person's vote doesn't count for very much. It's what the internal government thinks and various other factors that determine who's going to be the president. So, I mean, I want to make something clear. Donald Trump says, goofy things, like something about grabbing a pussy. He said all Mexicans are rapists or drug lords or something like that. and there were riots, there were violent acts committed after he said those things. But the fact of the matter is, if that's all it took for those things to happen, then it wouldn't take much at all for them to get to do anything. In fact, they don't even really need an excuse. They'll just go about doing whatever they want to do anyway. And they are prone to violence. Donald Trump was right. Quite often in a lot of places, Latinos and blacks, I mean, there are some places where whites are too, where they're prone to violence. That's just natural fact of life. And so to say that Trump endorses violence, endorses prejudice, and endorses hatred, and Clinton doesn't, is a totally ignorant statement. Clinton will probably win, and when she does, she's going to continue the wars in the Middle East, making friends that Obama made in the Middle East while killing her enemies. She will be a dictator. I mean, Trump would have been a dictator too, but and still could be. I don't know. The decision hasn't been made yet. But I would still stick with Donald Trump. But I have my doubts that he can win. The propaganda against him is strong, and not that the propaganda for Hillary Clinton has been very good. It's just the anti-Trump propaganda is very strong everywhere, on the television, on the internet, and the people who make decisions have a tendency to talk dumb down to people. Like, they don't want to inform of intellectual reasons why they're voting for someone, because then they have to reveal their hand that they are despicable people themselves and they know horrible things about them, and they don't want to explain themselves. They don't want to do this and that. They just, like, I've seen stupid pictures like of Donald Trump saying, "Oh, I talk a load of shit. Here's my teapot. Here's my spout." But the same thing could be said about Clinton, quite easily. And I made that point to this person, and she didn't agree with me. And I was saying, you're only voting for her because she's a woman. Yes, it's historic. It's probably true if she doesn't get in that there won't be another female presidential candidate for some time. This will probably be similar to the whole President Obama situation, where the next set of elections after his full tenure are up, there's not another black candidate. After Clinton's term, there won't be another female candidate. Not a serious one anyway. Jill Steiner, or whatever her name is not a serious candidate. Not that she's not right about certain things, not that she doesn't have a good opinion about things. It's just she doesn't have the power. That's not how power operates. I always knew from day one that Donald Trump had a disadvantage. He, hasn't been in power. He hasn't been related to anybody in power as far as presidential status goes, where Clinton has that advantage. I mean, her husband was the president. She worked for Barack Obama, the current president, and people just glazed over this fact, and they're so ignorant that when they watch TV or they look on the computer or they read the newspaper, they don't understand that it's all controlled. Nobody can say or do anything that contradicts the narrative of whatever the current government in that region wants you to think. And anybody who does say things that the current government doesn't want you to think is silenced, or even in some cases blacklisted, so that nothing they say reaches anybody, because they stand out of the crowd. They stand apart from normal society. There are other people who don't conform to normal society either, but they keep it to themselves. They keep quiet. They're the wise ones. I'm the big mouth loud idiot. who will go about and say things that people aren't going to want to hear. To the best of my knowledge, my information database that I can accumulate any of this knowledge from is very limited. It's not to say I'm stupid, but I have a limited intelligence on current global matters. A lot of people do. It's not their fault, but it doesn't mean that they are stupid. It means they're ill-informed and they're ignorant. There is a difference. And yeah, getting back to the whole Obama, getting up to, horrible things, which he most certainly has. You don't get that kind of power and don't do bad things. I'm sorry. He may have a pleasant demeanor, he may have a nice smile, he may be able to talk real fluently and nicely, and he may seem like a really good guy, but the thing is, to be in that position, you do bad things. And that's not acceptable. He shouldn't be liked for what he's done. I mean, a lot of people hated George Bush, but George Bush, he took it on the chin to be hated while he was president. He just said, I don't care if you hate me or not, that's fine. But Obama, on the other hand, has not taken that kind of heat. Like, he's committed, bombing, serious bombings of Middle Eastern countries, and seemingly they're nobody countries. Like, who cares what they think? Okay, maybe they have terrorist cells working within them that could potentially pose a threat to the Western world, but most of them, I don't think it's entirely necessary to attack them. I mean, sure, they don't treat their own citizens very well, but there's no reason we can't send covert agents in there to rectify the problem and do it in a more precise, incognito, secret agent sort of way, instead of just crudely bombing their cities. I mean, it seems rather unnecessary to me. And Clinton is going to continue that path. Michelle Obama, not too long ago, I think it was like a week or two ago, was like, "Don't you dare undo my husband's work." Shut up, Michelle Obama. Shut up. Obama is not the nice guy that he's portrayed as. He's done bad things. And some people need it spelled out for them to understand. And I'm not the best person to do it. But everybody has their faults. And I'm not saying Donald Trump isn't going to have his faults if he gets elected. He still could. We'll see. But it's probably going to be Clinton. And she most certainly has faults. She most definitely has things wrong with her. She's definitely shady and suspicious. And those are not admirable traits in a presidential candidate. And, okay, fine. It's, I would be less bothered if both candidates were women, as opposed to one of them being a woman and that being the reason why some people vote for her. I would prefer if both candidates were women. If Trump wasn't running for president, and neither was Clinton, but two admirable women, I'd be fine with that. I'd be perfectly fine with candidates that were both women and were both honorable, decent people, because there are candidates that are potential to fulfill that position. But Hillary Clinton, she's bad news, man. Like, I'm not going to say she's going to start a world war or anything like that, but she's most certainly going to do things that us common folk ain't going to like. That's just a fact. I mean, Donald Trump would not exactly be a positive influence on Canada. He's said, I forget the quote, and me being Canadian, that would negatively impact me. To a small extent. To be honest with you, if I didn't have a TV, didn't have the internet, I probably wouldn't even notice. But I'm saying that it doesn't matter who gets in. Certain policies are going to go forward because the people who are pushing the candidates, the people who control the strings, they don't take no for an answer. I mean, even Donald Trump has said there may be circumstances where he does not accept the results. I don't blame him, because it is totally fraudulent. He said that it's rigged several times, and people go, oh, he's just whining. No, that's actually a gradual truth. The fact is, Hillary Clinton already has an in because she was married to somebody who was the president. So this argument, let's vote for her because she's a woman, because she's independent, she's strong-willed, she's this, that, and the other. She's made all these promises, even though she hasn't really made that many promises. We really don't know what to expect from her. Is no good reason to vote for her. As I said, it would be more interesting to see two women debating that have nothing to do with either of the current candidates. Decent, respectable people. I have no problem, as I said, with a female president. That's not the issue here. The issue is the quality of the president. And to be honest with you, I think the quality of Donald Trump is superior to the quality of Hillary Clinton. Sure, Donald Trump is going to be a prick. Sure, he's going to do things that piss people off. But that, in my opinion, is perfectly reasonable. It comes with the territory. There's secret society, secret military intelligence, and uncommon knowledge that would doom any party and would tarnish the image of the last 8 years of the Barack Obama administration. Because I guarantee you, when Barack Obama leaves, in the next 8 years, he will not take the same kind of heat that George Bush took. George Bush took a lot of negative press in the last few years. So many people called him stupid, this, that, and the other, violent, tyrant, blah, blah, blah. But, Obama is a tyrant. He is a dictator. You don't want to believe that? You want to believe it's a free country and that there's a due process and legal system and all that? They overcome all those odds. And the only things that keep them in place is the fact that people in power don't always agree, and most often don't agree with each other. Hell, if I were up there in the ivory tower, I wouldn't agree with them either. They're a bunch of dinks, and they don't have my best interests in mind. So I would if I were a presidential electee, I would be a little arrogant prick too. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people thinking that's what I'd be. But there's just some underlying issues that don't get mentioned that are important. And they're quite scary, actually, about the world, about the presidential election, about this and that. They just don't get mentioned. Ignorance is not bliss. And Hillary Clinton may have the support of important, influential people, like Lady Gaga, for example. She's voting Clinton. She wasn't explaining why she was. But she's got numerous things wrong with her, so, you can't go on the word of a famous person, because if you do, and that presidential electoral screws up, it's like the celebrity that endorsed them is at fault as well, because they're more informed. They have the more detailed, more specific, more exact information to go on to help create their decision making. Whereas we get the garbage, we get the the low level propaganda. Like, I'm not satisfied with the level of propaganda that we get. It's dumbed down to the point where it's absolutely absurd. I'm arguing with trolls who have the mental capacity of a retarded chimpanzee. And it's irritating. I can't stand it. And I was under the impression that Donald Trump would be, he'd be more fun. I don't think Hillary Clinton's going to be very much fun. Anyway, we'll see. I'm not going to make any predictions or anything. For what it's worth, I'm Canadian and I'm voting for Donald Trump. Yeah, that's right. I'm Canadian and I'm voting for Donald Trump. What are we going to do about it? Anyway, yeah, we'll see what happens. Anyway, at any rate, President Obama, Xerxes, is passing the throne on January 20th, whether he likes it or not. So, we'll see. Anyway, talk to you guys later.